Hello everyone, this is Dylan from the TheTriniGardener channel, and I'm so glad that you made it back for the second part of my two-part series on transforming terrible backyard soil into something that's a rich, good growing medium where you can grow tomatoes. In last week's video, I showed you exactly how I went about transforming the soil in this backyard. In this video, I'm going to show you the steps I took to go about planting tomatoes into my new brand soil. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here are my tomato seedlings, and I bought and potted up in these cups. They've been growing for the past 3 weeks in these cups here. I'm going to be planting them into my strip of land, hoping to get 7 tomatoes in here. This is the 008 tomato that's supposed to be good in marinara, tomato sauce, and in tomato choker. I'm digging these holes for my tomato plants pretty deep. Tomatoes, they benefit from being planted fairly deep, deeper than just the roots. The stem itself is going to produce roots once it comes in contact with moisture and soil. That's because tomatoes are primarily a vine, so they produce roots all along the vine. Okay, so into my growing hole, I'm going to be putting garden gypsum, specifically because I'm planting tomatoes and garden gypsum is calcium. Tomatoes need a lot of calcium. If you haven't looked at my tomato growing guide, please do so. But if we get enough calcium, we're going to avoid things that plague tomatoes, specifically blossom in rot. It really doesn't help your plants to have blossom in rot. It can spoil the entire harvest if you don't take care of that. So this is going to go directly into my hole. I'm going to put a handful now. Right, so this is what it looks like, right? And I'm just going to put a simple little handful down into the hole there. Right, this is a slow release. It'll take time, but that's why I'm putting it in at the point of planting. All right. The second thing that I'm putting in is my garden tone. All right. This, besides having a lot of trace minerals that plants really need, it also has a lot of beneficial bacteria and fungi in this. Right, so that will help promote colonies of fungus. Once this meets water, the colonies will come out of hibernation, right? They'll come out of dormancy basically, and then they'll cultivate and attach to the roots of the plants and promote a really healthy root system. All right, there's certain fungi called like Mycorrhizae. Those are known, right, to basically cling to the roots of your plants, and then they actually go and they find minerals, get it to the plant, and in exchange the plant gives them sugar, right? They call it a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic basically means that a small organism is living on the back of a bigger organism and pretty much providing a service that they get a small reward for, and then the big organism gets its reward, right? So it's a good symbiotic relationship, and they really they work really well together. So something else that I would have put into my planting holes would be worm castings. I don't happen to have any right now. I ran out like last week, but if you do have worm castings, it's a really good resource that's not very expensive. You just have to take a handful, put it down into your planting hole, and then you plant your seedling right into that hole. So basically I would have my garden gypsum for my calcium, my garden tone for that overall nutrition, and also helping produce beneficial bacteria and fungi. Because if you saw when I mixed up the soil, I roughed out the soil pretty bad, all right, and that would probably have killed off some organisms. It was also in the hot sun, right, so that would bake off a few organisms that were in the soil. So garden tone is just a way of me replenishing the soil with those natural organisms, beneficial bacteria and fungi that really do help the plant. All right, and I would have also put my worm castings. A really good source of nitrogen, a really good source of just adding really good organic matter to your soil, and that will produce and help your plants to get really big, healthy, strong, and produce really well for you. So I'll be removing these lower leaves on the tomato plant, and that'll allow me to plant it deeper than just the root system, which is in the cup here. Mind you, when I got these tomato seedlings, it was just a tiny bulb, and then I put it into the cup with soil, and I buried a lot of the stem, and now all the stem has become roots and has taken over the entire cup. And that's a good thing. A bigger root system, a stronger root system is going to allow for better nutrition uptake and will allow for a more healthier plant that will produce really, really well. I'm just going to rough up the bottom of the roots a little bit gently, just to allow the root itself to stop going around in a circle of as it was in the cup, and it will allow the roots to start more naturally piercing into the ground and going in all different directions looking for nutrients. And as you can see here, I'm covering the bulb, right, of roots, and now I'm going to start molding up the soil even more and getting the stem itself touched with soil. And over time, over the next few weeks, I would be mounding up more and more soil around the stem, and that will allow the stem itself to start producing more roots. If you look really closely, you can see white fibers along the stem. Those fibers are roots in dormancy. As soon as they touch water and soil, they start springing and becoming actual roots. So I have all 7 tomatoes planted in now, and the next step is going to be watering these transplants. It's very important to water as soon as you transplant to avoid transplant shock. Remember, when you're watering your plants, especially tomatoes, to water close to the soil and to avoid splashing up from the soil onto the leaves. That's not good. That can transfer fungus and harmful bacteria to the leaves of your plants. So water close to the soil and gently and deliberately flood them with water as soon as you transplant. So it's very important to remember mulching, guys. It's really important. This is just some leaf compost I had going, and it's just a simple matter of putting this right on the soil itself. You don't want to put it too close to the stems, so the bark, the bottom of the plant, right? Just like a little layer there, and that will help keep your moisture in your soil, and it will also help protect your soil over time from degradation from the sun and water, topsoil runoff from the rain. And that's pretty much it. So this, I would just take this and just spread it around, not very thick, just right around. Now this is my mulch, but this is also compost. So over time, this is going to break down, and it's actually going to improve my soil as it breaks down and goes down into the dirt itself. And that's it. Thank you all so much for following along with this process. It's been a lot of fun showing you how much you can do with just the worst possible soil in your backyard. You can have an amazing garden. You just have to invest a little bit of time, a little bit of research, a tiny bit of money, and you can have your dream garden right at home. If you have any questions or comments at all about this entire process, leave a message below in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. As always, this is Dylan from the TheTriniGardener, reminding you to get up and get growing. Take care.